You may recognize prominent names such as King George, Queen Elizabeth II, and the current King Charles, but what do you know about the history of the Windsors? The prominent name associated with the royal family from which these royal figures originate. In this video, we will explore the Windsors, their origin, their century-long evolution as a family, their considerable wealth, and a glimpse into their lives and business in this day and age. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The House of Windsor stands as the reigning British royal house, presiding over the United Kingdom and various other Commonwealth realms. Its establishment dates back to 1917, and throughout its history there have been 5 British monarchs from the House of Windsor: George IV, Edward VIII, George VI, Elizabeth II, and Charles III. It's worth noting that the offspring and male line descendants of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip are also genealogically linked to the House of Oldenburg, as Philip belonged to the Glucksburg branch of that house by birth. The reigning monarch serves as the head of state for 15 sovereign nations, including the United Kingdom, Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Solomon Islands, and Tuvalu. But it doesn't end there. In addition to these independent monarchies, there are 3 crown dependencies, 14 British overseas territories, and 2 small associated states of New Zealand, the Cook Islands and Niue. The lineage of the House of Windsor can be traced back to 1701, when the succession to the throne was granted to Sophia of Hanover. She hailed from the House of Wittelsbach, married into the House of Hanover, and was a granddaughter of James VI from the House of Stuart. Her son ascended the throne as George I in 1714, marking the beginning of the Hanoverian royal house's lengthy rule. However, things took a dramatic turn in 1901, when a member of the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha succeeded the House of Hanover in the British monarchy, with King Edward VII, the son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, taking the throne. Finally, in 1917, the name of the British royal house was changed from the Germanic Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to the more English Windsor, a nod to the royal residence in Berkshire. King Edward VII, and subsequently his son George V, belonged to the German House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha due to their lineage traced back to Albert, Prince Consort. Albert was the husband of Queen Victoria, who happened to be the last British monarch from the House of Hanover. During the First World War, there was a significant surge in anti-German sentiment amongst the people of the British Empire. This sentiment reached its pinnacle in March 1917, when the Gotha G4, a heavy aircraft capable of crossing the English Channel, commenced direct bombing of London. In that same year, on March 15th, King George's first cousin, Emperor Nicholas II of Russia, was compelled to abdicate his throne, raising concerns about the potential abolition of all European monarchies. King George feared for his life and, of course, the throne. Under these circumstances, King George and his family were eventually persuaded to relinquish all titles associated with the German crown and adopt anglicized versions of their German titles and house names. Consequently, on July 17, 1917, King George V issued a royal proclamation declaring the following: "Now, therefore, we, out of our royal will and authority, do hereby declare and announce that as from the date of this our royal proclamation, our house and family shall be styled and known as the House and Family of Windsor, and that all the descendants in the male line of our said grandmother Queen Victoria who are subjects of these realms, other than female descendants who may marry or may have married, shall bear the said name of Windsor." The choice of the name Windsor held a deep historical connection to British monarchy, with references to the town of Windsor in Berkshire and the renowned Windsor Castle. This link is symbolically represented by the round tower of Windsor Castle, which served as the inspiration for the badge of the House of Windsor. In 1947, Princess Elizabeth, who would later become Queen Elizabeth II and was the heir presumptive to King George V, married Philip Mountbatten, previously known as Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark. Prince Philip belonged to the House of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glucksburg, a branch of the House of Oldenburg. Just before his wedding, Philip made the decision to relinquish his princely titles and take on the surname Mountbatten, which was derived from his maternal uncle and mentor, the Earl Mountbatten of Burma. This surname had been earlier adopted by Prince Louis of Battenberg, Philip's maternal grandfather, in 1917. It was a direct translation of the German Battenberg, referring to a small town in Hesse. Shortly after Elizabeth ascended to the throne as Queen in 1952, Lord Mountbatten noted that, as it was customary for a wife in a marriage to adopt her husband's surname, the House of Mountbatten now held sway. Well, he was so wrong. When Queen Mary, Elizabeth's grandmother, heard of this remark, she conveyed it to then British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Churchill, upon hearing this, advised the Queen to issue a royal proclamation, affirming that the royal house would continue to be recognised as the House of Windsor. On April 9, 1952, Queen Elizabeth II officially proclaimed, "It is my will and pleasure that I and my children shall be styled and known as the House and Family of Windsor, and that my descendants, other than female descendants who marry and their descendants, shall bear the name of Windsor." Privately, Prince Philip expressed his frustration, lamenting, "I am nothing but a mere amoeba. I am the only man in the country not allowed to give his name to his own children." On February 8, 1960, several years after Queen Mary's passing and Winston Churchill's resignation, Queen Elizabeth II affirmed that both she and her children would retain the designation of the House and Family of Windsor. This name would also apply to those descended through the male line of succession, or patrilineality, and who held the titles of Royal Highness and the rank of Prince or Princess. When the House of Windsor was initially established, its leader governed the British Empire. However, after the conclusion of the First World War, significant changes occurred, leading to the emergence of the dominions within the British Commonwealth as sovereign states. This transformation was formally acknowledged through various measures, including the Balfour Declaration of 1926, the Royal and Parliamentary Titles Act of 1927, and the Statute of Westminster in 1931. Consequently, the Windsors were recognised as the royal family of multiple independent nations, a number that fluctuated over time as some dominions transitioned into republics, and crown colonies evolved into realms, republics or monarchies under different sovereigns. Since 1949, 3 monarchs from the House of Windsor, namely King George VI, Elizabeth II, and Charles III, have also served as the heads of the Commonwealth of Nations. This Commonwealth encompasses most regions of the former British Empire, along with some states that were never part of it. The British royal family stands out as one of the oldest monarchies globally, boasting a net worth in the billions. While some details regarding the wealth of the British royal family are accessible to the public, gaining a comprehensive understanding of their financial holdings remains a formidable challenge. This complexity arises from their extensive portfolio of assets and the historical tradition of maintaining discretion regarding financial specifics. While this may seem as a problem, certain insights provide glimpses into the lives, assets, and the properties of the Windsor family. Forbes estimates the collective wealth of the royal family, often referred to as the firm, at approximately $28 billion. Mind-blowing, right? It even gets more interesting when we note that this estimation does not include Queen Elizabeth's personal fortune and assets. The firm includes notable figures such as King Charles, Queen Consort Camilla, Prince William and his wife, Princess of Wales Kate Middleton, as well as the late Queen's daughter Princess Anne, her youngest son Prince Edward, and his wife Sophie. Queen Elizabeth II, renowned as the longest reigning monarch in British history, was estimated by Forbes to possess a personal fortune of around $500 million. This wealth primarily consisted of her extensive jewelry and art collection, properties, and various personal investments. King Charles, upon inheriting her fortune, also came into possession of an estimated $500 million, according to Forbes. Additionally, reports from The Guardian suggest that Charles's wealth exceeds $2 billion. His assets encompass a wide array ranging from estates and artwork to valuable jewels, racehorses, stamp collections, and automobiles. Well, it doesn't end there. Charles's eldest son, Prince William, now holds the Duchy of Cornwall, a substantial and lucrative estate. In addition to this, he possesses approximately $1.2 billion in net assets. These assets include iconic properties such as the Oval Cricket Ground in London, Charles's former residence at Highgrove House, and the Isles of Scilly, as reported by Forbes. A primary source of wealth for the Windsor family derives from their extensive property holdings, managed collectively under the Crown Estate. This entity, operating through an independent council, oversees the monarchy's property assets. The estimated value of the Crown Estate stands at approximately $20.5 billion, generating an estimated net revenue of $410 million by the close of the 2022 fiscal year. It's also important to note that the revenue generated by the Crown Estate does not remain with the Windsors. Instead, it's allocated to the British government, exchanged for a sovereign grant funded by British taxpayers. The sovereign grant, equivalent to 25% of the Crown's estate profits, amounts to approximately $110 million for the 2022-2023 period. Evaluating the true worth of these properties proves challenging, as many have been inherited through the generations and have remained untraded for centuries. Nevertheless, the Wall Street Journal estimates that the royal family's property portfolio is valued at billions of dollars. Prominent properties within this portfolio include Balmoral Castle, the Duchy of Cornwall, Windsor Castle, and the expansive 830,000 square foot Buckingham Palace in London. Another substantial source for wealth of the British royal family resides in the Crown Jewels, an exceptional collection comprising rare and valuable jewellery, crowns, sceptres, and other regal accessories. Among these treasures is the renowned Koh-i-Noor diamond, a 105.6 carat gem with a disputed history, having either been gifted to Queen Victoria or acquired by the British in the mid-19th century, depending on historical perspectives. While pinpointing the exact value of the Koh-i-Noor and other crown jewels is challenging, their rarity and association with the royal family significantly elevate their worth. The Duchy of Cornwall, a vast property in southwest England, reported an operating profit of approximately $32 million in 2022. As tradition dictates, this duchy now passes to King Charles's eldest son, Prince William, as it belongs to the heir rather than the reigning monarch. Similarly, the Duchy of Lancaster, another substantial property, falls under King Charles's ownership. This property reported an operating profit of about $31 million for the 2022 fiscal year. According to The Guardian, the Duchy of Lancaster's assets are estimated at around $814 million, significantly contributing to Charles's overall net worth, which surpasses $2 billion. Members of the royal family play a pivotal role in supporting the monarch with their state and national responsibilities, and they are actively engaged in charitable endeavours as well. In situations where the sovereign is unable to fulfil their duties, 2 councillors of state are required to step in. Eligible candidates for this role include the sovereign's spouse and the first 4 individuals in the line of succession who are over the age of 21. Notably, in 2022, the Earl of Wessex and the Princess Royal were added to this list through special legislation. Annually, the royal family participates in more than 2,000 official engagements, both within the United Kingdom and internationally. These engagements encompass a wide array of activities, such as state funerals, national celebrations, garden parties, receptions, and visits to the armed forces. Impressively, these efforts collectively host around 70,000 guests and involve responding to over 100,000 letters from the public. Beyond their official duties, members of the royal family serve as patrons for approximately 3,000 charitable organizations. Additionally, many of them have initiated their own non-profit entities. For instance, His Majesty launched the Prince's Trust, a charitable organization dedicated to assisting disadvantaged young people in the UK. Princess Anne established the Princess Royal Trust for Carers, which provides invaluable emotional support to unpaid caregivers, along with information regarding benefit claims and disability aids. The Earl and Countess of Wessex, formerly known as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, founded the Wessex Youth Trust, later renamed the Earl and Countess of Wessex Charitable Trust in 1999. Moreover, the Prince and Princess of Wales serve as founding patrons of the Royal Foundation, an organisation that focuses on mental health, conservation, early childhood development, and supporting emergency responders. Although the Windsors have endured a roller coaster of trials, tribulations, and scandals, they have managed to maintain their status as the quintessential face of royalty, and through the ever-evolving dynamics of modern monarchy, the Windsor family continue to adapt, endure, and uphold the traditions of the British Crown. Do click on the next video on your screen to watch another astounding video like this one.